Introduction to human settlement. We all live in cluster of houses. We may call it a village, a town, or a city. All are examples of human settlements. The study of human settlements is essential to the human geography because settlement in any particular region reflects the human relationship with the environment. A human settlement can be defined as a place inhabited more or less permanently. The house may be designed or redesigned, buildings may be altered, functions may change, but settlement continues in time and space. There may be some settlements that are temporary and are occupied for short periods, maybe a season. Human settlement is a place where people live. It refers to the totality of human community with all the social, material, organizational, spiritual, and cultural elements that it sustains, from the most miniature house to the largest city, where people reside and pursue their life goals. Any form of human dwelling can be understood as settlement. Human settlements come in many forms, and it can be permanent or temporary, rural or urban, mobile or sedentary, disseminated or agglomerated. A great variety of settlement exists worldwide today, reflecting human needs, abilities, aspiration, social, political, and economic relations. In this presentation, human settlements will be presented by reviewing their general characteristics, issues, trends, and specificities of urban and rural settlements, their historical development, and the contemporary challenges they face.
Large parts of urban areas, particularly in developing countries, faced waste disposal problems, and this in turn affects people's health. Large urban cities uses and disposes huge quantity of waste materials. On average, the world generates 2.01 billion tons of solid waste annually. With this, 683 million tons are from high-income countries, which is 34% of the world's waste. Moreover, domestic and industrial waste are either thrown to general sewerages or dumped untreated in unspecified locations. This improper and uncontrolled waste disposal may cause diseases such as parasitic infections, pneumonia, and meningitis.
Limited technical capacities, policy support, financial instruments, and resources. In most cases, the poorest population in human settlements are the most vulnerable. However, due to limited budget allocations and technical aspects, institutional arrangements, and lack of information and leadership, the capability of a local government to emphasize the adaptation responses on the poorest populations in human settlements becomes constrained. In large cities with decentralized governance capacities, external funding from other governments is attracted. On the other hand, in smaller cities with centralized governance systems, raising finance is a challenge. With finance and resources as significant factors, the ability of a governing body to provide for the population depends on the availability of these factors.
Water and sanitation. It is a global concern that low-income families around the world are most likely to suffer the consequences of inadequate living conditions. In the developed world, where basic services such as water, sanitation, and waste management are met in most communities, unhealthy housing may persist, with people exposed to poor housing design, inferior construction, and use of harmful materials such as lead or asbestos for building houses. Individuals who are under these inadequate living conditions should be informed about risks to health in human settlements. People, particularly children, are vulnerable to contaminants in water which can lead to diseases such as diarrhea, intestinal parasitic infection, and resulting malnutrition, anemia, and retarded growth. These biological hazards are present when water sources are contaminated by human or animal waste.
Urban areas have always been a way for seeking better jobs and income. Across the world, housing demand is expected to increase more as urbanization continues to grow. Most people living in rural areas migrate to urban areas as they want to improve their way of living and access more opportunities. Also, it can either be due to conflict, natural disasters, and climate change. But due to lack of affordable housing, low-paid work, and weak governance, they choose to reside in informal settlements. Many cities in the world have huge informal settlements and crowded neighborhoods with poor housing quality. These settlers have little or even no access to safe water, inadequate access to sanitation, and public health services. In 2018, there are more than 1 billion people living in informal settlements, and it is expected to double in the next 15 years.
Transportation. The rapid urbanization occurring across much of the globe means that not only that more people than ever before will be living and working in cities, but also that more people and more goods will be making more trips in urban areas, often over longer and longer distances. Construction of the transport infrastructure often disrupts neighborhoods. It relocates urban residents to the periphery, increasing their travel distances and expenditures. It decreases safety, it degrades the amenity of public open spaces, and creates visual intrusions. Yet, inadequate or unaffordable transport leads to the excessive building and population densities, causing deterioration of the living environment.
Human settlement is where people live and work. It has many forms. It can either be temporary or permanent, rural or urban. People have been living together in settlements for over 7,000 years already. During those times, their communities are arranged according to their shared values and specific challenges. The Industrial Revolution drastically influenced the way we think and how we live. Moving forward, 50 years ago, the Mediterranean basin experienced a doubling of its population. Population growth resulted in extensive land use and technological developments. According to National Geography standard, people seldom live in isolation. Instead, people live in groups ranging from small villages with hundreds of people to megacities with tens of millions of people. Some driving factors in human settlements are population and economic growth, rural to urban migration, and rural to urban developments. As a result, challenges may be imposed such as pollution, uncontrolled urban growth, high demands in housing, fuel and energy consumption, crimes, transportation, and sanitation. Today, more people prefer to live in urban areas than in rural areas across the world. According to the statistics, 55% of the world's population, 4.2 billion inhabitants, are living in the cities. This trend is expected to continue. Rapid urbanization happened due to growing number of informal settlers, inadequate infrastructures and services, extreme air and water pollution, and unplanned urban growth. As urbanization continues to grow, it is expected that it will double its current size by the year 2050. Nearly 7 of 10 people in the world will live in cities.
How will human settlement affect the Philippines? Philippine cities are facing unprecedented demographic, environmental, economic, social, and spatial challenges. There has been a rapid shift towards urbanization in the Philippines, with 5 out of every 10 Filipinos living in cities, with an estimated 84% of Filipinos expected to live in urban areas by 2050. This growth is expected to happen not only in the capital Metro Manila but mainly in small and intermediate cities. The consequences of this rapid urbanization will be dramatic as the effects can already be felt in many big and small cities in the Philippines. Rapid urban settlement in the Philippines result in a lack of proper housing and the development of slums. The cost of living in urban areas is very high, and when combined with random and unexpected growth as well as unemployment, there is a spread of unlawful resident settlements presented by slums and squatters. The growth of slums and squatters in urban areas is even further aggravated by fast-paced industrialization, lack of developed land for housing, a large influx of rural immigrants to the cities in search of better life, and the elevated prices of land beyond the reach of the urban poor. Human settlement in urban areas gives the urban population interaction with the environment. Urban people tend to be consumptive, requiring great natural resources and generating increased amounts of waste, also lead to increased levels of air, water, and soil pollution. And in return, the polluted urban environment affects the health and quality of life of the population. Other consequences of this rapid urbanization in the Philippines also include the impacts of natural and man-made disasters and other catastrophes due to the effects of global warming and climate change.
Lessons learned. First, government laws and policies have a big role in tackling human settlement issues. Government strategies such as urban planning is a valuable force for city leaders to achieve sustainable development. Second, the issues presented are societal problems. Hence, it is also our duty as citizens to address these difficulties because as a nation, we must take action. Third, there is no perfect innovation. For every positive outcome of an innovation, there will always be a negative counter that we must expect. However, it is our responsibility to be ready in resolving it. Fourth, human settlements impact the physical environment in various ways such as overpopulation, pollution, and deforestation. These changes trigger long-term problems like climate change, undrinkable water, and poor air quality.
Let us summarize what human settlements are. The need for settlement is innate among humans and people have lived together for thousands of years. Thus, we stay and live at a particular place, city or region permanently or temporarily and interact with society. Human settlements reflect our needs, abilities, aspirations, and social, political, and economic relations based on our environment. The advancements in human settlements benefit society and the people living in it. Though human settling and its innovations are essential to human life, it is not perfect. Instead, various problems and issues arise with human settlements. One of the most significant problems is the capacity to hold a growing population as rapid urbanization occurs. A higher population has higher demands in housing, food, and energy consumption and can also cause pollution, uncontrolled urban growth, and sanitation concerns. Having a high number of human settlers have significant effects on the environment and, in turn, would have adverse effects on humans as well. Although human settlements impose significant problems with population, they can be addressed and taken action well. In a particular place or region, both the government and its citizens are responsible for creating solutions to the issues brought about by human settlements. With proper planning, consistent and effective management, and unity among the people, the imposed problems and issues brought about by human settlements are minimized and reduced as possible.